get to hoist the championship trophy in the tournament at the end? Just talk to me about the whole experience.
Sure. First, that's a beautiful arena, the Barclays Center. I mean, it was obviously expensive to build it, but you can see how nice it is. Though I like this arena a lot we got behind us here at JPJ, but it was good for our guys to go down there and play. The Rutgers game, you know, we had to overcome obviously a slow first half or a sluggish first half. Didn't shoot the ball well, nor did Rutgers. And I think both teams looked a little tired and fatigued, and it was who was going to outlast who. And I thought we established some better things in the second half, but there's times you just got to figure out ways to win when shots aren't falling, and you have to make adjustments and hope for the best. But I thought our guys hung in there and challenged Rutgers with a good defensive performance. Again, they were cold shooting as we were, but we were for the most part in good positions. And you know, the chance, again, I told the guys, you're playing for a championship in this setting, and so you just play as hard as you can. And I think they were excited to, you know, win in that environment. And it was nice. The other thing on a side note is a lot of Virginia alumni or Virginia fans came out, and that was really a great reception for us because the games were so late. But to see people support us and be there and hear the good old song after the win was nice.
What do you think about taking on Maryland? They're undefeated, but one of their best players is obviously out.
Yeah, you know, when I watched them a couple times, they looked improved. The game I saw, Des Wells didn't do a whole lot, particularly in that game against Arizona State, and I thought they really played together well. Very talented young players, and then the experienced players know how to play. We know what the environment will be like, so you know, we'll have to be very ready, really ready, and obviously quick turnaround. We'll get prepared and be excited for the challenge that's at hand.
I know you don't get too caught up in this kind of stuff, but did you get a little laugh when you saw that you were going to Maryland for the Big Ten ACC?
Well, in my teleconference, I got asked I think Doug asked me what was my initial thought when they showed that. I was just, I don't know, I was kind of surprised, or it didn't seem conventional. You know, it's the ACC Big Ten, and but obviously ESPN matches those up, and from a rivalry standpoint, it makes sense. But I was surprised. I was like, okay, we're playing Maryland. We just played them, and they were in our league. But again, it'll be a terrific game, terrific environment. And from what I've seen, obviously I know they're without a player, but they look good, even improved from what I watched last year. And obviously we're going to find out very soon.
Does it help that it's somebody that you're so familiar with?
You know, I think they know us, we know them. You can look at that both ways. Two different teams, you know, this year. But yeah, there is some familiarity with that, and I'm sure it can be a positive, or I guess it can be a negative both ways. I think it'll depend how we're playing and they're playing.
Coach, are you more comfortable with your, I guess, rotation from an offensive production standpoint? Is that something you're still working out? You've talked about it before. You've had 7 games now to kind of evaluate who seems to have that best chemistry on offense.
Yeah, I think we always got to keep working as an offense. On the offensive side of it, you look, are we getting the right kinds of shots for the right kinds of players? And you know, as far as rotation, I think that still evolves as the season progresses. At times I've shortened it in some games, and then there's times I've given guys limited minutes. But so I wouldn't say I'm 100% comfortable with our rotation. But I think, you know, guys are playing real hard, and that's all you ask for, and you want them to understand, you know, their role when they come in. But it's continuing to find ways to adjust offensively to get the right kinds of shots. And when you're struggling to score, you know, you got to be great defensively, but keep looking at different ways for us to be effective, because you know, we played so many games in a short amount of time that you haven't as much practice time to make adjustments if you feel they're needed. So you got to kind of shift on the fly, and I think we're still adjusting and know that we've got some work to do really on both ends of the floor, but know that we're going to be tested in these next, well, all the games from here on out. They're stepping up.
Can you talk about the atmosphere that you'll face there, because you've obviously been there a handful of times before, and it's usually a very rowdy crowd, and their students are sometimes obnoxious?
They're very kind and friendly. It's so encouraging when you go there, and they're just wishing you well wishes all the time at Maryland. No, I think that's what makes rivalries. They cheer hard, they get after it, and they'll let you know if you got something wrong with you. So, but that's part of, obviously you want everything to be respectable and clean, but that's part of what makes college sports and rivalries exciting. The intensity of the crowd, you can feel it in the air when you walk in there, and they obviously off to the start. They're off to, I think that their crowd will be even more charged, and because of, it's Virginia, it's Maryland. I think that adds some intensity to the crowd.
And Justin always gets up for this game. Obviously, he almost went to Maryland.
Yeah.
You're leading the scorer. I mean, talk to me about him and him going back there too.
Yeah, you know, I think our guys, I think we know how we have to play, and there'll be excitement. And you know, because it's a Big Ten ACC game, it's Maryland. There'll be a tremendous energy and emotion, and you know, Justin certainly brings that for us. So I just want him and our guys to be. You have to have composure, but tremendous heart in these settings, and really in every game. But I think the energy in the building will be there.
Coach, you in your NBA kind of background and mentality, you know, closers, guys who can have the ball down the stretch. Malcolm seems to be one of those guys. Is Justin evolving into a guy? He's leading the team in scoring early, but he's a guy that you could see being comfortable with down the stretch, having the ball that you might need to go to if you need that guy that you got to get a shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to look at that with the experienced guys that have been in those spots before, with Malcolm and London, Justin. You know, we actually obviously have some of the interior guys. I think our team this year is different in terms of there's different ways we're going to have to figure out to score, where you put the ball, what kind of shots. But yeah, no, I think Justin's evolving, and just want guys to be steady. You know, down the stretch, the ability to get good shots for them, take care of the ball, and you know, there's different ways you can do it. But yeah, I see improvement in those guys, and know that certainly will be called upon and tested, and that's stuff as we evolve, we'll keep figuring out.
You mentioned before about the difficulty of like the lack of practice time because of the early stretch of games. How difficult of a challenge? Just what's the challenge of this stretch now, where you're on the road last week, you're on the road twice this week before you go into finals? Yeah,
I mean, I think it's the ability to get as ready as you can in whatever time you have, and so you rely on your experience. And again, just playing this many games, you want to be as physically fresh and mentally fresh. We talk about that a lot, and that's always the challenge. You know, it's a unique schedule, and then bang, there's a 13-day break before you play again. But that's unique to UVA with how long the exam break is. But we've got a couple days to prepare for Maryland. And I always say, worry about today, for tomorrow has enough trouble of its own, or today has enough trouble of its own. But you know, that's what's in front of us, and we don't have 5 days to prepare for either of these games. You just get as ready as you can and rely on your system and your guys' mindset to be as prepared as possible. Because we've played a lot of games in some different styles, but we know obviously the competition will continue to step up, and it's just a mindset of being ready and going in there and competing for all we're worth.
Are you seeing you talk a lot in the preseason about seeing more consistency from some of the older guys. Are you seeing steps in that direction? Like, obviously Justin's playing really well, but just in general, are you seeing more consistency from some of those guys?
At times, yeah. I mean, at times we've been inconsistent. You know, if it's offensively or some turnovers here and there, you see guys do some uncharacteristic or inconsistent things, but that's part of being in the season and even the earlier part of the season. So we'll continue to work for that, but definitely seeing good stretches. And you know, the more consistent we can become, you know, as an offensive group, even defensively, the better we're going to be. And that's just a process. You wish you could just be there right away, but that's why you've got to keep improving as the season progresses.